Okay, our design is ready for some text. You know, typography has grown leaps and bounds inside Photoshop. I remember way back in earlier versions of Photoshop, getting text into a Photoshop file was, well, let's say clunky at best. So it's really come a long way here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep this fairly straightforward, but there's a couple of neat things I want to show you. I'm going to start off by clicking on the topmost layer inside the layers palette there, circle 3 for myself anyway. And then I'm going to head over to the toolbox over on the left-hand side, and I'm going to grab the type tool. Go ahead and do the same there. Now, at this point, Photoshop may stutter a little bit. It might be loading in your fonts at this point. But I'm going to go ahead and single click, and I'm going to go ahead and type in some text. I'm going to type in big, fluffy clouds. Let's say, for example, that's the name of our, maybe this is going to be a band or something, right? Now, a bunch of things to show you here. First of all, I'm going to grab my move tool, and I'll just kind of reposition my text here. I can't really see my text very well there, but we'll get to that. But first of all, if you don't know about this already, what happens is we get a new type layer inside the layers palette with the layer being named after whatever we had typed in, right? So that's fine. But I actually want to go and do some formatting on the text now. So I'm just going to go and grab my text tool again, and I'll highlight this text here. Just click and drag right across there. Now, what you can do is you can use the formatting options that appear across the top of the Photoshop interface on the options bar there. For example, I'm going to set my text alignment here to left align. And again, it's a bit of a back and forth. I got to go and grab my move tool, move that layer back over, and then go back to the type tool and reselect everything. But of course, I could change the font as well and the size. We'll get to all that stuff. But what I want to change right off the bat is the color of my text. And you'll have this little color swatch option here up on the options bar. Go ahead and click on that. And that will bring you into Photoshop's color picker. I'm going to go ahead and set the text color to white right up in the top left corner there. I'm going to click on OK. And for the rest of the formatting that I do here inside my layout, I'm actually going to use Photoshop's character palette. And you can access the character and paragraph palettes just by clicking on this little icon here. That'll pull them up here for you. You can see you have some of the same options that you have across the top of the Photoshop interface, but we actually were given quite a few more options as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my font. I'm going to use a font called Cooper. Now, you might have the same font, or maybe you don't. I don't know. But this is the font that I'm going to use, sort of that bubble font, I guess. And let's see here. I'm going to set this option right here is called leading. And I want to show you something kind of cool with leading, but I'm just going to make sure that mine's set to auto there for now. And let's see, I want to set the size of my text as well. I'm going to crank this all the way up to about 48 points. So it's nice and big there. Okay, now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to collapse this guy down just for a moment. And as you can see, my text is running right off the end of my design, right off the end of my disk. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to have to fiddle with this a little bit. I'm going to grab my move tool, pull the text back towards the left just a little bit, and then head back to my type tool inside the toolbox. And then I'm just going to select the space between fluffy and clouds. I know the word clouds is there. And I'm just going to hit Shift Enter for a forced line break, right? Something like this. Okay, great. And I'm going to have to go back to my move tool and push this guy back a little bit towards the right there now. Again, a lot of back and forth here. But what I want to show you is this. I want to control the space between the lines of text. In traditional print design, this is what's referred to as leading. You may have heard of leading before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select everything, Command A or Control A, and check this out. I'm going to hold down the Option key or the Alt key on the Windows side and try using your up and down arrow keys. Your up and down arrow keys will allow you to adjust the leading or the space between the lines of text, right? So maybe I wind up with something like this, right? I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to go back to my move tool and I'm going to finish this off here, at least this first sort of section on getting text into our layout here by resizing my text. Now, again, what I could do is I could go back to the type tool and I could select all the text and then adjust it from 48 point maybe down to 42 point or something like that. but I'm much more visual. So what I'm going to do, and I do this all the time, is essentially I'm going to use Photoshop's free transform command on my text rather than adjusting the point size. Honestly, I really don't care if it's 42 point or 39 point or whatever. I don't care, and I don't want to spend the time, kind of sitting there and fiddling. I just want to resize the text so that it fits inside my layout, something like this, right? So all I've done here is I hit Command T or Control T on the Windows side, held down Shift, and scaled my text from one of the corners, something like this. Reposition it inside my disk layout, hit Enter to lock in the changes.